Pokemon Masters, Toby here, and welcome to Paldea Week with a new video every single day to celebrate the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Also to celebrate the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I'm doing a giveaway. I'm giving away a copy of both games to one of you. So what you gotta do to enter with your chance to win is leave a comment on this video or any of my Scarlet and Violet themed videos. I'm gonna be sifting through them and finding a couple comments to give Scarlet and Violet to. Also, if you see a reply to the comment and it's telling you to click a link, please do not click the link. Even if it's got my profile picture, it's probably not me. Be sure to read the name and never click a link in the comment section. We are having an issue with bots at the moment on the channel that are just coming in and leaving comments which I assume are some kind of spam or like a, hopefully not like a hacking thing. I don't really know what it's about, but just don't click them. If you win, I will respond to your comments, but we'll have a back and forth. It won't be like clicking a link or anything. I'll also announce the winners in the live stream when I am playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet later on this week. Also, the new Tree of Evolution is ready for pre-order. Get yours today using the link at the top of the description. It supports me, helps me keep doing what I'm doing, supports the lovely Last Shaman, my girlfriend, who has been working so hard on the art on this. Thank you to her, and thank you to you for picking up copies of this poster. If you pre-order it now, you got a good chance it's going to arrive before the holidays. Right, let's do 5 theories. This is a sort of compilation of my favorite theories to do with Scarlet and Violet. I'll be honest, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you've probably heard most of these. There is at least one that is not from this channel. So here we go. My 5 favorite Scarlet and Violet theories. Number 1, a middle legendary, a third legendary, something between Koraidon and Miraidon, responsible for terastallization, probably a dragon type. Look at the crowns of terrestrial Pokemon. Look at the eyes looking directly at you. Whose eyes are those? I suspect they are eyes that belong to a legendary Pokemon, a dragon type that bestows the terrestrial power to the terrestrial power? That's cool, a terrestrial. The terrestrial power to all of the Pokemon across the region. It's that power that seeps into the earth and is the power of a legendary Pokemon. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because it is. The last 3 generations, we've had basically the same thing. Necrozma's power came down in the form of crystals, Z-crystals, that seep into the Pokemon that use them and give them incredible power. It's dragon-typed Pokemon made up of multiple parts. Solgaleo Necrozma and Lunala Necrozma, they come together to create it. Eternatus similarly has parts of its body, meteorites that come in the form of wishing stars that are imbued with the energy of Gigantamax and Dynamax, that when put inside raid dens, and we're getting dens again in these games, allow the Pokemon inside to become Dynamax or Gigantamax Pokemon. Eternatus is another dragon that is incomplete in its regular form that can become more powerful. Zygarde 2 is a dragon that becomes more complete and actually has a complete form and incomplete forms as you go around collecting all of its cores. It is the master of the life and death trio, the masters of infinity energy, and infinity energy is exactly what is inside Mega Stones, which are crystals that power up Pokemon, allowing them to change forms. And here, once again, we have crystals that allow Pokemon to change forms, so my suspicion, those eyes belong to a dragon. Much like Zygarde, much like Necrozma, much like Eternatus. A dragon with a more powerful form that is responsible, and it's its body that is part of what is creating this phenomenon. And of course, any of you who know this theory know what it's all about. It's all about completing the Arceus. The Arceus in the real world isn't just the name of a Pokemon, but also a term in alchemy made up of 4 parts: reflective, chemical, life, and light. Light is Necrozma. Life is Zygarde, the master of the life and death trio. Chemical is Eternatus, the poison type one. Reflective, it's the terrestrial Pokemon, the crystal one. So, number 2, what's with the hole in the center of the Paldea region? There's a chasm at the heart of the Paldea region, but how did it get there? What happened to this region to cause that? Is it something to do with the terrestrial phenomenon? Well, maybe. As I just mentioned, terrestrializing and mega evolution, again, using crystals to transform your Pokemon, they're not completely different. And what we do know is that north of the Paldea region is the origin of mega evolution, Kalos region, because it seems to be the case that the Pokemon Earth is literally just the human Earth, but with areas named differently and Pokemon living there, and certain areas do look a little different, like obviously the Alola region is made up of 4 islands, whereas the Hawaiian islands are made up of about 8. So if Kalos is above the Paldea region, and we all know that when it comes to Kalos, they had a big war 3,000 years ago, is it possible that that war was with Paldea? I believe so. There are watchtowers all around the Paldea region, meaning that they were expecting people advancing in towards the center of the region from all different angles. I suspect there was once a city at the center of the Paldea region where there is now just a giant chasm. The oldest city in all of Paldea by far seems to be the starting area where the trainer school is. The trainer school is said to be the oldest school in the region, but actually if you look at all the different towns and aesthetics, it's clearly the oldest town in the whole region as well. So any architecture that is older than this is completely wiped away, apart from those towers that are all across the region. My suspicion is that the Paldea region's capital city was once at the very heart of this region before it was destroyed by AZ's ultimate weapon, firing into the air, bringing with it the life force and of course the death force of all Pokemon, landing and creating that chasm. The energy in Kalos transferred into evolution stones, becoming Mega Evolution, but in Paldea it seeped deep into the earth, maybe imbuing itself within a legendary Pokemon, and became the energy that we know as Terastal. Speaking of Terastal Pokemon, the Crystal Onix. I believe that the Crystal Onix is now officially canon, but I know what you're gonna say. Toby, look at the Crystal Onix. It's clearly not a Terastal Onix. You're really seeing what you wanna see. Well, first up, I don't think they're ever gonna make it more canon than this, unfortunately. I think this is about as canon as it absolutely can be. You know, unless you revert back to my very original theory about Crystal Onix, and that's all Onix look like this on the inside, and that's why Mega Steelix has crystals jutting out from underneath its skin, but I digress. I think the Crystal Onix may be some kind of special Terastal Onix that's not quite understood, that is covered in ice energy. This explains its weakness to Charmeleon in the Pokemon anime. We don't know that Terastal Pokemon can have additional forms, except they sort of can. We've seen in trailers that Sudowoodo, when it becomes Trudowoodo, as it's called by the gym leader, its crown is a little further down on its head, suggesting that there are different variations of Terastal Pokemon. We just haven't seen any outside of Paldea, apart from perhaps what we're seeing right here with the Crystal Onix. It is a bit of a stretch, but it is the best I can do for that Pokemon. This next one actually isn't one of mine at all, and I tried looking up. I thought I saw this on Hoops and Hip Hop's channel, but I now cannot find it anywhere, and that is the true origin of the Galarian birds being not from the Galar region, but in fact instead from the Paldea region. First are the names: Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno. Dos, Moltres, dos tres, tres. Uno, dos, tres. In the name, it is Spanish for 1, 2, 3. I don't think that's a necessarily solidifying factor in terms of the lore, but it is interesting that they chose to give new forms to these Pokemon right before Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out. Additionally, when we look to the Pokédex entries and the Pokemon website for the Crown Tundra, we learn that Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno don't actually live in the Crown Tundra. They migrate, only visiting the Crown Tundra once every so often. And the Crown Tundra is the area of the Galar region closest to obviously where Paldea would be, but technically Kalos is in between here and there. That said, the fact that they are roaming Pokemon that only appear in Galar like once every 10 years makes me think they probably do spend the majority of their time elsewhere, flying over the Pokemon version of the European continent and there over the top of the Paldea region. I wouldn't be surprised if we find more clues in the game that suggest that these birds are in fact connected to the region. But that's the best I've got on that for now. And finally, number 5. I mentioned this one quite recently, so you might already know this one, and this is about the ghosts of Lavender Town. Notice how the shape they look like looks just like the Terastal Ghost? Now, you'd say, of course, that the Terastal Ghost looks like that. It's a reference to the original appearance of Ghost Pokemon. But the thing is, it's never made sense, ever since Generation 1, that Ghost Pokemon ever looked like that in the Kanto region. Because in other regions, when you encounter Ghost Pokemon, they just look normal. You don't need a Silph Scope. So my theory is that there's something suspicious about the Lavender Town Pokemon Tower. And we know there is something odd about that place. At the very heart of the building, there is a healing circle that's been led down by a Hex Maniac. I suspect it's a natural point where there's an overflowing of life energy of Pokemon, infinity energy. As I established at the beginning of this video, a lot of these energies are connected, including Terastal Pokemon. I wonder if the form that the Pokemon are taking in this building is a sort of cross somewhere between the Terastal Ghost Energy emblem, because of all the Ghost Pokemon that naturally live there, and all the dead Pokemon that live there, and some kind of like Dynamax or Gigantamax thing, because even though they're not giant, they are projections. Projections that the Silph Scope, has to look through. We know from interviews that Dynamax and Gigantamax, the way that it works, it's not actually a giant Pokemon in a stadium. Instead, it is a sort of projection with the real Pokemon inside. I wonder if that's what's happening to all the Ghastly and Haunter in Lavender Town's Pokemon Tower, projecting this image of their own type with the Terastal, the way that Terastal energy displays. I also wonder if that could be the same case for the Marowak at the very top of the building. Yes, normally it's a ground type, and yes, it is dead, but because of the presence of all the ghost energy and this overflowing of life energy that has become this healing circle in the middle of the building, I wonder if this Marowak is clinging to life and has the terrestrial power of ghost, projecting not as a crown, but instead as an image around it. An image that the Silph Scope can see through. Now, if you've got any theories that you want me to investigate, you're gonna have to let them know in the comments, and if you leave a comment, of course, you're in with a chance of winning a copy of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but don't click any links coming from any bots or any spam accounts. Double check that the name says from me, and don't click any links, like I'm not gonna send a link. Winners will be announced when the game comes out and when I do my live stream, and I'll reply to some comments then. Also, again, please be sure to pick up the new Tree of Evolution poster. I am so proud of the work that Phoebe's been doing, and I can't wait for you to see this version. I think it's the best version yet. Pre-order now, and you got a good chance of getting yours before the holidays. So, yeah, thank you so much, and of course, so hi, Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
A tremendous thank you to those of you who've been supporting this channel year-round on Patreon, but a special thank you to the big patrons of this month, Michael Hornshoe, The Alligator, Jedruben, and Anthony Lee. Thank you.